Thank you for watching. Have a lovely weekend. Hi everyone, so we are back for another week of We Mean Business, and on this week's show we have the wonderful Laura Ripley. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. Yeah, it's my day in the office, so I've really enjoyed my commute in today.
I was going to ask you, of course, where you are, because obviously it looks super interesting and pretty cool where you're sat. So it's the meeting room, I'm guessing?
Meeting room, yeah, and I have to say it's not a fish tank. I know it looks like a fish tank. It's not. We haven't. It's just a glass wall. We haven't got any fish to keep.
Wow, it still looks very cool. It still looks very cool. So did you commute far this morning?
No, it's not too bad because we're quite sort of rural Leicestershire. So it's just, and I live sort of in a few villages along, so it's about a 10-minute drive or so. But, you know, it's just nice, isn't it, to leave the house and be on your way somewhere, drive somewhere, songs on, love it.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And are you back like part-time? You back full-time?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle for us actually, because I think we're just slightly more cautious than everybody else. So we are just on rotating days at the moment. But we've got quite a small team. So I suppose that gives us the flexibility to do it more than bigger firms, I guess. But yeah. How about you? Are you still...
So I'm 2 days at home, 3 days in at the moment, which is quite nice because have the couple of days of putting proper clothes on, pair of heels, feel like a real working person, and then a couple of days at home with comfortable clothes on, doing sort of like more admin-y stuff. So it is, I do quite like the mixture at the moment. I think that'll probably be what I do for quite a long time. I would have thought. Are you going to keep with a bit of home working or?
Yeah, I think so. I think, to be honest, it's a nice working environment for me at home now because I've set up a proper office and everything. So I actually feel really comfortable and productive at home as well, but I just like the environment of the office. But yeah, like you, put on a pair of heels, some perfume. That was the thing for me. Put on some perfume, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, no, 100%. Okay, so amazing. So for anyone who doesn't know Laura, she is a chartered financial planner at HA&W. So to start things off, Laura, could you please tell us why you do what you do?
Why? Well, because I think because it's so interesting. You know, there's never a dull day in the financial planning world. Never two clients the same or with two problems the same. And I think particularly with my role, I've got sort of the operations and investment and management on top of my client-facing role. So that's fun and keeps me on my toes. So I think that's why I do it, because I love it. It's interesting. It's exciting. It's fast-moving. It's great.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. You definitely don't have a day the same. You definitely don't have a client that's the same. Everyone is so different. It's crazy. But so did you choose a career in financial planning? Because I know that a lot of people say they fell into it. Was it your chosen career path?
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I don't think I did choose, which worried me a little bit when I thought about it because, you know, I've ended up doing this role. But I think it was the paraplanning or the technical part of it that I did choose. You know, I've always been a problem-solving kind of person. And to combine that with actually helping people meet their goals and things like that was perfect. But yeah, I think as my career progressed and I started to realize, well, actually, I like that client-facing role. I like building and maintaining and leading client relationships. That I sort of fell into the planner role overall. So yeah, I would say I probably didn't choose it, but love it. Now I'm here. You know, it really is interesting day to day.
Yeah. So you were paraplanning before, is that right?
Yeah, so I actually started in a really junior role. I don't know what you'd call it, actually. It was sort of a junior administrator, and then very quickly moved into SIP administration, and then spent probably 10 years in paraplanning. So I really started sort of at the bottom sort of rank, if you'd like, and worked my way up. But I think that has given me really great solid base to work it from, and a good background. The experience that I've got over those years has been fab and really helped me in my day-to-day roles. So yeah, great.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask that because I do think I've been asked that question quite a few times, because I paraplanned before I became a financial planner, and I feel personally for me it was really beneficial. I think it taught me a lot to take into my role as a planner, and I don't know how you felt, but I got to a point when I was paraplanning where I was like, okay, I feel comfortable now, I feel confident, but I really want to speak to people, and I really want these clients that I'm writing cases for to be my clients, and I want to speak to them. Did you have those same sort of feelings?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That just gets to a point where you're like, well, I can do this. I think I can do that this way, and it gets a better outcome, or it has a better relationship for the client. And yeah, there was a key point where those sort of feelings started happening every single day, and I realised, no, actually, it's the planner role.
Yeah, and did you go to sort of like your manager and say, I want to progress, or did it happen naturally?
No, I think they were the ones that were pushing before I was probably ready for myself to become a planner. So they were already, open arms at that point. Yes, please, Laura, move to this role. So yeah, that was good. It was just, it had to be a delicate process for me, because I don't think the client facing bit came naturally. It was just because I really wanted to work with those clients at the time. So it was something that I had to work at. It didn't come naturally.
Yeah, and how did you find the support that was given to you whilst you were progressing into that role as a financial planner? Because I know myself, the difference between a paraplanner and a financial planner is huge in so many ways. So how did you find the support you were given?
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely huge. I think I've been very lucky, I think, because the support I've had, I've had some really influential people support me through my career. Particularly, the place that I was before, my previous firm, I was there for 14 or 15 years. So my employers there, Mike and Ian, it wasn't just support, it was guidance, it was encouragement, it was opportunity. It just gave me everything I could have possibly wanted in my career progression. And I will be so grateful, for them for that. But I think in terms of support, the guidance that people give you nowadays is, that to get out there and see people. I think that's the best thing that you can do, and that's where you get your support, is from people networking, with people doing the same role. That's my advice to people, definitely.
Yeah, and sort of learn off each other, I suppose. And I was going to ask you what support or help do you wish you had when you were progressing as a financial planner, but was there anything else? Because it feels like they were very, very supportive.
Oh, they were incredible. I haven't got a bad word to say about them. Well, actually, obviously I had my own challenges, like everybody does. And it wasn't all rosy. They always pointed out if I could have done better at something. But then they helped me help myself improve it, which was just a skill that I seem to have, taken on from them. And hopefully I can give to somebody else as well now. But I think one thing that I probably wish I'd had maybe more of earlier on in my career is the face-to-face contact with clients. Because I think that was a really powerful thing for me, that when, in the SIP administrator role that I was doing in my very early days, it was sort of like you'd churn through work, and it was task after task and process after process. And then you'd almost overlook that was a real person, that you're, that's a real person, that's their livelihood, that's their little empire that they've built, throughout their working career, and they've worked so hard for. And even though you talk to them on the phone all day in administration, it was just something that you just didn't, you so easily overlook. So I think when in my first couple of years at paraplanning, and I got invited to these sort of client meetings, that was quite overwhelming. It was a real reality check, as to say, crikey, this is a real person, that they're trusting us with this. We've got to do this right. And I think whatever stage you're at in your progression, I think face-to-face contact, so even, junior people, not all the time, but periodically, the earlier you get them into that sort of face-to-face scenario, and hearing the clients talk about their situation in their own words will be really powerful. And I think, I'm encouraging that certainly at the firm that I'm in now, is bringing people into the client meetings. I think it has a great result.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I had one of those moments with sort of like real client money. And I remember I was sat there, and I can't quite remember where I was, but I had this sudden, it like dawned on me that this isn't monopoly money. And it was like, this is real money. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I was quite traumatized at the time. It was like I had such a long time of, just like you said, just being transaction after transaction, not thinking about it. And I just had this sudden moment where I thought, oh my gosh, like this is real money. Like you said, people have worked hard for years to have this pot, and it's not technically in my hands, but like you said, they're trusting us to do the right thing with it. And it was like, wow.
It's the responsibility of it. It's just huge. And that was overwhelming at that time. But I think that's a really powerful thing, to have people in your business have that face-to-face contact, because as I say, it's like this reality check, isn't it, that we all need occasionally.
Yeah, no, 100%. And would you say with the last very strange year and a half we've just had, or nearly 2 years, whatever it is, obviously a lot of meetings are now online. A lot of financial planners would have started their career with, including myself, having a lot of meetings online. I'm very grateful that just before we went into lockdown, so I had at least a handful of meetings in real life, but then I suddenly went into this online world of Zoom calls. And do you think that will make it a difference for sort of people maybe starting their career in financial planning and just gaining clients?
Yeah, I think the virtual meetings, there's a bit of an ongoing debate about it, isn't there? But I do think you lose a little bit for having it virtual, but it's so much better than a phone call or, a letter or something like that. You're still having that contact with clients, you're still seeing their reactions, and you have that sort of soft skills advantage even in a virtual meeting that you don't have on the phone. So I still think it's better than a phone call or a letter, much better. But I think the face-to-face contact does take it to, another level. And the sooner we can get back to, not for everybody, but for certainly some of our clients here, they can't work the virtual world. It just doesn't suit them, and it's never going to suit them. And they get so much from coming either to our offices or having a face-to-face meeting. That we're really looking forward to getting back to that model for those clients.
Yeah, and I think that I personally think there's something a little bit more draining about a Zoom call. I don't feel like you get the same. I don't know. I think when you see people in real life in person, it does give you something that maybe a Zoom call doesn't. I don't know what you think, but it's just a bit different.
Of course. And there's always the bit of, you haven't got to worry about the cat walking in or the dog walking in on your face-to-face call. I know. So there's always that added stress, isn't there, of having to deal with that on the Zoom call. But I do think it does take it to another level when you're actually in a room with the client. You do miss a little bit of that from a Zoom.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what would you say do you see as sort of like the main benefits of a career in financial planning for a woman? Because I feel there's loads. So what do you think?
For a woman, I'd probably say the progression, which in itself, I suppose, brings job satisfaction and pride for a woman. I think women are made to do planning. They really are. I mean, I don't think I know any women that aren't good at it, whether they've got the technical bit to be in our industry or not. Women are fab at planning. So, more of us should be doing it as far as I'm concerned. And women also have, that empathy with clients that perhaps male colleagues, it doesn't come so naturally. Which I think is incredibly valuable when you're, leading client relationships. So, I think progression is a real opportunity for women in our industry.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's a really great way of looking at it, I think. And also, I think it comes into play that most women I speak to who are clients say they want to speak to a woman, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. The same as I'm sure there's many men who would say they'd rather speak to a man. And I think the more women we have in the industry, hopefully more women that will come forward and get financial advice if they haven't already.
Yeah, I'm hugely passionate about this, and I'm going to do some real work on this over the next few years to sort of catch this movement of getting more women, opening up financial planning to women, as clients, because so many of them are not looking at their financial needs because I think they don't think they have the same, that they can't access it as easily. So I think that's something that's really on my radar over the next few years, is trying to make this easier for women to access.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see that, because I do think it is something. It's not a gap in the market as such. It doesn't sound right saying it like that, but I think there is something missing there for women that definitely could be there to, like you said. I don't think they feel financial planning, financial advice is for them, really. I think they do feel it's more for men, more for it. That seems to be the general feeling, I think. So if there was something that was more accessible, maybe more women friendly, I don't know, I think that would be a very exciting thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Some women think in a slightly different way, we just do. There's nothing sexist or gender about that. It's just we do think in a slightly different way, and so we have to tailor the way that we work slightly differently to make this more accessible for women, because currently it's not. And whether that be something that the industry has done, or whether it is this constant imbalance in society generally towards women, but we need to all do our bit to make this work for women as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So you joined HA&W end of last year. I'm hoping that's right. What was it that you were looking for when you were looking for a new role? Because I think that's more talked about now. Like, I know when back a few years ago, went to apply for a role, all I thought about was what money they were offering me, if they wanted me. But I think that conversation is starting to change, and it's more about what are we looking for in a role.
Yeah, that's true. I think I've never really been driven by the salary. Obviously, I wouldn't work for peanuts. I need to pay the bills, but I've never really been that driven by money. I don't know what it is inside of me, but it's always about actually what I can contribute and how I can make changes and do what I want to do and do it well. So I think my move to Hamford, Aikenhead and Walker was about moving from an investment focused firm to a financial planning firm, but also for the next stage of my career, the next 25 years, where I want to say, this is where I want to do this, and this is where I want to make real changes. And my previous firm was much larger, and it was very difficult for me to do exactly those bits here. But yeah, I suppose the main point was moving from the investment focus to full financial planning world. Investments has always been like a real passion of mine, so I still do it. I'm still on the investment committee here. It's still a big part of my day. But I'd say my client meetings now are so different. They used to be 80% about investment chat, and it was all looking back and looking historically on performance and things. I just used to think this is the wrong way around. I need to be looking forward. So now I talk very little about the investments. I'm happy to, but I spend most of my time looking at where we are now. Are we on track, and where are we going? That feels right to me. So full financial planning is definitely what feels better for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And did there come a point where you sort of said, or you just had a feeling like now's the time to move on? Did you have a moment where you were like, it's time for the next thing, or did it sort of just happen?
I think there was a couple of structural changes that were on the cards that gave me a little nudge to think, right, now's the time. But also, I'm no spring chicken anymore. So I was getting to that age where I thought, look, if I'm going to spend the next 20 years somewhere, I need to get bedded in sharpish. So I'm not that old, but I'm kidding.
I was thinking that. You're definitely not that old.
But no, so I think that just naturally, it wasn't a short process, actually. I mean, it was probably 2 years in the making, having those thoughts that, right, when's the right time to do this? And then it was a 12-month discussion, with my new firm. I probably, kept toing and froing a little bit with them. Yeah, so it was a really long thought process for me. And it was a massive change. I mean, huge. So, I just wanted to give the thought that it deserved, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Especially if you were looking sort of like that long term, you want to make sure this was it for now. You see your future there at the moment for the foreseeable. It's got to be the right decision, hasn't it? And I think there's a lot more conversation now about your work is such a big part of your life. Like you really should enjoy it, and you should be in the right place and enjoy your colleagues and the company you work for and have the same values and that kind of thing, rather than the conversation being, well, you must go to work to earn a living and take it home. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, totally. I'm absolutely in agreement. And I think, how you get that work-life balance right and how you get that happy work life actually results in better client outcomes as well, because your client relationships are then happy as well. The clients are almost like pets or children, aren't they? Where they sense if there's something not right. Don't broadcast that bit. But
I know exactly what you mean. They sense what's going on, and the vibes and the culture and the values, that kind of thing. And if something's slightly ajar, I'm sure they would pick up on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that gives them the confidence and the reassurance as well that you're happy in what you're doing and that you're going to, give it 110% all the time. Is that your...
That's my dog.
Oh, bless.
I think he's going to stop. We'll keep going. We'll see if he climbs back down. So what would you say has been the highlight of your career so far?
Probably my move last year. As I say, it wasn't a short process. It was a really long process for me because it was such a big move. Having spent 14 or however many years at the firm, it wasn't an easy decision. And I'm a bit of a worrier naturally anyway. So that was a huge move. And I'm just so glad I did it because I love it. I absolutely love it. And it just feels so right. And I'm really motivated for, the next 20, 25 years to make this work. And so I think that's been my best move.
Yeah, amazing. And when you might not be able to answer it, but when you made the decision, did it feel like the right decision at the time, or did it just feel like the unknown and like a bit of a risk?
Oh my God, yeah. It was terrifying. Yeah, absolutely terrifying.
Okay.
Going from a place where I was like the go-to person for, well, nearly everything really, because I was so embedded in, so many different areas of the business, not just clients, but operations and everything. So I was kind of the go-to person to being this newbie here where everybody does something slightly different was absolutely terrifying. And it was a roller coaster at first and a little bit touch and go, I would say, as well, of whether it was going to work. But it felt right. It did feel right. So I have worked hard since getting here, to try and fit in with the way that they do things, but not alter my views on things as well. And not just fit into the mold that they are, but be my own person still and be my own, with my client relationships in particular. But so no, terrifying.
Amazing.
Terrifying.
It's just interesting and good to know, because I think sometimes people get those feelings and think because they've got those feelings, is it maybe not the right thing to do? So I think to know that you still had those feelings, it still was scary and it still was a big change, but you're so happy now, and like you said, it's one of your greatest achievements. I think it's good for other people to know that sometimes risk and scariness is okay.
It is. It absolutely is. I mean, don't go and make knee-jerk reactions with your employment just because, you've had a bad day here or whatever. Don't go and do that. Give it the thought that it deserves. Understand a little bit more about what you really want out of your, career, not just the next year or so, but your actual career, and then find somewhere that fits. But a big thing for me was, there was only one other place I was going to go and work, and that was here. There was not a list of places that were on my list to contact. I contacted one place and I did my research, and it was the people that obviously here that attracted me and the planning process. But that was it. There was nobody else on the cards.
Yeah, amazing. And so you talk about the next 25 years and you thought about your career before you move. So what do you see for the next 25 years? What do you hope to achieve in the next 25 years? I know it's quite a big question.
Yeah, it's a huge question. I think I still want to continue working with, really interesting clients and pushing the boundaries a little bit on clients' planning needs and things like that. But I do want to do something to capture people earlier on in their planning. I'm not saying that it has to be a certain age group that we do this for, and it will probably be not an ongoing relationship, but more of an educational role to get people to understand the importance of financial planning at such an early age can actually reshape the rest of your life. And I think I want to do something which gets those people involved from an early age, even if it doesn't mean that, it's going to be a relationship for me, but to get them dealing with things and, opening their eyes to what small changes from such an early age can mean, later in life.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think of a couple of small things you can do when you're sort of at the earlier part of your life can make like a huge, like massive difference later on, and such a huge impact of your financial planning and your life. And I don't think there is enough out there now. I don't think there's much out there now at all, really, to sort of fill this gap. So I think it's definitely something that would be an exciting thing in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it's just the tiniest little changes that they can make now, but you compound that over their, early working career, and it could be a really powerful thing later on. And that will help us in our jobs, looking after those people when they do need full financial planning. Just giving them the pointers early on, I think, is something I definitely want to do in the next few years.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So we are coming to the end of the show now. However, I would like to ask you for a book or podcast recommendation if you have anything that you think our audience will find inspiring.
Yeah, so somebody did recommend something to me recently, and I'm not sure what it says about what they think about me, but it was the 10% Happier book by Dan Harris. It's okay. I know, I'm not sure what it says about me.
No.
Yeah. But it was definitely worth the read. It's just sort of an introduction into meditation and the benefits of doing it. Okay. But it's quite a funny one, so it's worth a read. Yeah.
Okay, amazing, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Laura. Sadly, it's all we have time for today, but it was really, really great to chat to you. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Of course, and you guys at home, thank you for watching. And on next week's show, we will have another amazing woman from the world of finance. If you would like to be kept informed about upcoming shows and recordings of previous shows and much, much more, please do sign up to the mailing list, which we will post in the comments. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely weekend, and we will see you soon.